Over the past few weeks, we had 2 videos interviewing a group of teachers who took Delta Module 2 with me, and this is the last part of this interview. In this last video, we will be talking about the most challenging factors for each one of us in our own perspectives regarding Delta Module 2. And also, we're going to talk about what's next. If you want to know more about that, watch the videos to the end. Thank you.
Delta as a whole is a very challenging, Delta Module 2 is a very challenging experience. But what would you reckon, Stephanie, is the most challenging factor in Module 2?
Most challenging factor. I will go with something that's I'm still working on now, which is writing aims. I think Module 2, Delta has a very specific way they teach you of writing aims. And if it's the first time someone gives you feedback on that, you kind of are like, what are you talking about? Like, what's wrong with my aim? And then my tutor was just like she was going word by word through my aim, being like, this word, I don't think it means what you think it means, and so on and so forth. And I would go away, and this was the day before my TP, and I'd have to rewrite my aim and therefore rewrite half my lesson plan. So I found that very, very, very hard. But then I noticed actually most of my teachers don't know how to write effective aims, both main, subsidiary, and stage aims. I think it's covered in a very basic way in CELTA, as most things do. And Walter knows my feelings about CELTA. And yeah, Delta kind of unpacks why we write aims in the way we want them to, and what effect does it have on our lesson and our teaching. And that I'm still trying to learn that. I'm still trying to figure out a way to teach my teachers that. But yeah, I would say that's something that's been on my mind and that stuck out to me.
And stage aims have a very powerful effect in our lessons, don't they? Especially when giving feedback to other teachers and go why are you doing this with students? And sometimes they go, it's a very fun activity that I found online and and okay, it is fun, but why is it there, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with Steph. I hate writing stage aims. It's the bane of my existence. As teachers, we kind of intrinsically know why we're doing things, but sometimes it's difficult to put into words. So, Delta is definitely a very useful exercise to just force you to really think about it and think about it from your students' perspective. What are they getting out of this, not you?
To me, my come to answer that question, I'm going to say something very different. I think the managing your time in between writing your background essay, the lesson planning, and you have that because you're doing the intensive version, you have very few days in between writing and then actually doing that lesson with the students. I think that writing because you have to read a lot to write the BA, right? To write the background essay. And that takes the background assignment, background essay, doesn't matter which name you're going to use. But anyway, so you have to, so I'm going to sit down Friday afternoon. I'm going to write this. I'm going to write a part of it. And I have to be done with this by Sunday afternoon. And we're talking 2,500 words. It's quite a lot. But I think that the way if you're thinking, oh my God, I have to write 2,500, that's not the right take that you should have on this. You should be and Will, I was talking to Mike about this last weekend, by the way. Okay, how can I put everything I know about this topic in 2,500 words? And then really 2,500 is not much. Writing only 2,500 becomes the challenge, because how do I put everything that I'm reading into this? And you have to write in academic style. So
and get to depth.
Yes, I was going there. Thank you. The depth that you have to show in this background essay, I think that is the challenge. I kind of feel like I did well with my BA. So I think it worked out thanks to my tutors, because thanks to their feedback, because that was great.
For me, writing background assignments, because I was not familiar with the format. And as time went by, I realized, wow, we were supposed to do this in this way, and this is not as hard. I remember Remy, she would just study a couple of books and articles, go through them, start writing, a very relaxed life. She would go to the park and take breaks.
That was just an illusion, I promise.
But for me, that was studying effectively. But in terms of the knowledge for the background assignments, I can assure myself that I did my best, and that was more than enough. For me, I really learned a lot. As Walter said, the challenge was how to fit all of it into the background assignment. And doing so, for me, messed it up at times. So there was not much room left to get into depth. That was the problem with me. Like when I spoke to my tutor, she would say, that's perfect. You know all this and you've gone deep, but you need to show it in your background assignment. For me, into my background assignment, that was the toughest challenge for me. English for academic purposes, backgrounds, or maybe if you've studied in an education system that for which you had to write assignment, that could help. But for me, it was only exam based. That was one of the first experiences in my life where I had to write thousands of words as proof of how much I've understood. When upon putting those into words, that was the toughest part for me.
Yeah, maybe at the appendices, we could include like a QR code. Here's a video of me on YouTube talking about this topic at length so that we can add to depth.
For me too, I think researching and writing the background assignments on a weekly basis was the biggest challenge for me getting through it. I'm not the most academically minded person. I hadn't done a master's or anything previously. And I realized it was the thing holding me back was probably how I was actually recording notes and things from reading. And I was just like, I'd sit down on a Saturday and a Sunday, start doing all this reading, getting stuff ready. Then I'm there typing it up the next day. And shit, I remember that quote, but where was it from? And just turns out my note taking was terrible. And I remember one observation session, Stephanie was sitting next to me and I was sort of having a gander at what she was up to. She had this beautiful Excel sheet, all the books, all the topics, everything. I was just like, I need a bit of that. I didn't do that until LSA 4. But it's the easiest LSA I've ever written. So Stephanie's probably better to look at because the way that I refer to a lot of the esteemed authors in the game, they're my dogs. So, Thornbury, for example, Scotty Dog, Crash Dog. So my notes wouldn't be very understandable to the average person.
I mean, it's just a tip for keeping track of your notes. I always start with like the correct citation of the source. Don't wait until like the night before and then have to locate the source again. Just enter it properly from the beginning. And then, one column is the page number. And then sometimes I'll type a direct quote in, or sometimes I'll paraphrase it for myself. So already there's that like page number. So you could put it into the paper like that. And then I had this like code system to kind of identify patterns in the notes that I was taking, so that I would know, I want this quote to be in, the third paragraph about connected speech, but then this other quote needs to be in paragraph 5, which is narrowing down connected speech to elision and stuff like that. So it's really just like how I've practiced taking notes.
I mean, for me, it was just the sheer volume of work. At the end of the day, I don't think humans are designed to work so hard and so intensively. We got to take a little break once in a while. As I said before, just the fact that basically for 7 weeks, we were working almost nonstop. I think we had our little Friday night get-togethers for a few hours. And then on Saturday morning, it was back in the game. The information that you needed to fit into your head, the practice, just basically living and breathing Delta for 2 months. So that was it.
What is the next step after Delta? I'm still taking Module 3, but as a very anxious person, I'm thinking about what to do after Delta is done. I've considered taking the NIL MA with Chichester, right, which seems like a very logical next step for me, but I don't know because it might feel like an extension of Delta, and then maybe keep studying the same thing. I've been taking Delta for 5 years now, since I started preparing for Module 1, and then sat the test, and then pandemic came, Module 2 was kind of hard, and now about to finish Module 3. What are you folks doing after Delta?
To me, right now, it's just working really hard and thinking about like showing what you learned to the point that you can step up to a different position. because I really want to be working with teachers. I wanted to do something like a bit of what Stephanie and Hamed are doing. I would love to do something more administrative, working with teachers. That would be great. Although I don't want to stop teaching, like, ever. I am a teacher, so this is what I do anyway.
I'm kind of in that same problem because it seems like the further up the ladder you go, the further from the classroom you get. And that's just how the game works. Since Delta, I've been keeping myself very busy in my own life and then, moving across country, working 6 days a week. Like Bruno, I'm very tempted to take an MA, maybe through Nile or possibly the University of Sunderland. Guys I work with who've also gone down that route said that it's easier than Delta, which gives me confidence. And Module 2 has given me a bit of confidence in my ability to do academic research and writing.
It can't be harder, right? I mean,
it's not. Yeah, they say it's a bit of a cakewalk. But then I think, well, if I did this, like, would I literally just be extending what I've done in Delta instead of going deeper? Possibly. It's that nice certificate at the end, which is necessary for certain positions, especially university teaching in Japan. We'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm enjoying being in the classroom.
So for me, really the goal, why I embarked on this journey was because I would like to do what I do every summer, which is teach academic English at UK universities on a permanent basis. So that was really the ultimate goal. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I just want to get my module 3 done so that I can get a permanent in-sessional academic English position. And definitely module 2 has got me well on my way to do that. I'm looking forward to just, as you said, resting for a little bit, not stop learning for a little while. Learning is great, but I feel like I've had enough of it. Yeah, continue really the way that I've gone. And another thing that I should mention is just the way that Delta has opened doors for me, and I think for people in general, because if not for Delta Module 2 at Istanbul, I would not be here in my flat in Kawasaki right now. So I would still be somewhere in Scotland. Just being here with you all and hearing about your experiences, all over the world, got me thinking, I need to be more adventurous. I need to do something completely new and different.
What's next for you?
What I'm doing next after Delta is nothing. I am tired. I have been studying for the last 5 years. I'm always studying something. My goal for myself is for the next 2 years, not to take a single additional certificate. I'm tired. But Bruno, actually, the MA with Nile you're considering, one of my colleagues has just started doing it. I don't know if it's the same exact one you were looking at, but she has good things to say about it so far. She was saying how you get to choose the modules or your specialisms. So she's chosen one on teacher training and another one on curriculum and instructional design, which I think are elements that like Delta doesn't quite cover, which Absolutely. Is the kind of what goes on behind leading up to the classroom, the managing, the training. I don't think Delta trains you how to be a teacher trainer. You have to go elsewhere to find that, how to write materials. Delta is about using the published materials, but and designing some of our own. But it's not the main focus. There's no teaching of theory that goes into that. But fingers crossed, it's not something that I'll suddenly decide to do in the near future because I am tired.
As of now, I've got a lot on my plate. I have to finish this MA. I have to take module 3. I have to do my responsibilities, what I have in Iran. With my new position. So there's a lot for now. But I have to see where I am next year. Should I stay in the UK or should I get back to my country? These are all determining factors for me. If I get back to my country, I have a lot of room for development in our own institute. So I have to focus there. Outside of my country, no, Delta is a really determining factor for me in finding job, as I have heard from Remy and Will. And in between different courses. So maybe I need a break.
Maybe the idea of when you finish CELTA, tutors often tell you, wait 2 years before taking the Delta, right? So that you can kind of internalize what was taught during CELTA. Maybe that's something we need to do after Delta too. right? So maybe 2 years to have everything like settled down, move up. But very interesting, Stephanie, when you mentioned teacher training and materials design, which is definitely something that is not part of the Delta syllabus. Folks, I think this is it for our interview. Thank you incredibly much for being here with us for this unpaid 1 hour.
Oh, unpaid?
Oh, yeah, you're not. No, that was scam. I know. So
thank you, Bruno
very
and Walter.
much.
Guys, it was great. Well, it was so nice to hang out with all of you, and thank you for sharing the experiences and these different areas that a variety of perceptions on Delta Module 2. I think it's very helpful. We're putting this out there, and for the folks out there who are watching this, really hope that this can help.
So folks, that was it. We hope that you enjoyed our videos on that topic. If you want to know more about the other Delta modules, then Bruno and I, we have this series over here. And if you were thinking about the CELTA, then you can click over here, and then we have a whole series of videos about the CELTA. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Bye.